TV Ghana, your friend Joe Pixie. Na ohwe me screen so Felix Ofusukwache. Ha. Na on Nana Akomea ko share o Metro TV. Na sa Felix Ofusukwache na Nana Akomea story de. Eda se mete se Felix ene Nana Akomea ko share o TV so a, na mani age because me kai 2011. Na no show Felix to me kwata say Felix oguje to mo na mo ten radio so a che say and some of meka no babies with sharp teeth. Na Nana Akomea also you good. In fact, you can more modern Nanado Ebedi president. Nana Akomea was one of them. Very good communicator. Until one day because join news file. We can oh now Nana Akomea move now so stupid fool, you stupid fool. What the Felix at them cry they say shame no. Sometimes na Nana Akomea so MP ewo Okakwe South. Oh, yeah, can I Felix I cause right actually that tin akoma parliament. I omon sanction Nana Akomea na obi oye MP. Utina utuna TV so now we did atem. It is wagu parliament wagu parliament ho fin etu yanko ho etu. Mano ya can be say we stupid food there. Oh, mo fin no kra na mo. Na wo na wa betu MP for say omon sake. Na we stupid food na say catch that one so sanction bi na wo. Nti ano so na ene se ene nso no omumi na makote Metro TV Felix and Baumia this Baumia that and when Baumia took over and Nana Akomea say Baumia took over sesen Mahama be the president and already vice president obedi minister obedi assemblyman obedi deputy oye bibia organa happy na hope obi na company na the Baumia came straight from Bank of Ghana to become a vice president. Ono kwa na say Baumia were smart in there. As they say ultimate politics because no on share NPP. Nti you probably did not compare me and compare Baumia. Now there are kind man na Akomea kwa nation say when Baumia took over. Baumia took over. I'm sure as Nanado and they take it over. Was when Baumia took over. It's about they're so obsessed with yente the Felix kind we are not my born and Akomea never reply no. And so when we tell us na Akomea ama Felix one tutum say show no so no oma Felix won kire ne pa na nya agro nti o ma yegoti the Felix edi kan.
Randy, when John Mama was president, at least as of 2016, our total debt, which Baumia criticized, was 120 billion. After Baumia took over, today our debt is.
And it was as after Baumia took over. No, it was not say Senanando ni wa nke Baumia ni ho. Baumia has never taken over anything. He's just a vice.
If I'm to look at, I mean, just a repeat, if I'm to look at those footages of Felix before 2020, he said the same things. And yet you lost. Now, if it's a referendum on the performance of the incumbent, John Mahama, as the incumbent in 2016, was rejected. The referendum on his performance. So why are you bringing him back? Why are you bringing him? If an election is a referendum on the incumbent, John Mahama was the incumbent. He's already been rejected twice. So why are you bringing him back? Now, this attempt to tell us that John Mahama as vice president had the record, and he talk about the debt. And he said that debt now is 4 times what it was when and when you listen to it, you think Baumia is the president. He said when Baumia took over, the debt was here, and Baumia has taken it here, and Baumia has done that, Baumia has done that. Then we have been told that Baumia doesn't talk about the economy. In fact, like I said, I have been with him in many of the constituencies that he goes to, that he went to. Talked about the situation from 2017 to 2023. Talked about how the economy was before the COVID, the difficulties we are getting largely because of COVID, and what we are doing to take us out. He talks about all of that. In fact, the NDC, led by John Mahama, they look forwards and backwards at the same time when it comes to the economic situation today. When they go abroad, they ascribe they put COVID where it should be in terms of the difficulties that we're having today. When they come back to Ghana, they don't mention COVID. They say it's all the fault of the government. And I'm sure from next week, it will be the fault of Baumia. This is the politics that they are going to present to Ghanaians. And I can tell you, as for this, if this is the way you are going to proceed, we are so ready for you. And if you say Baumia is our weakest link,
nti no wotum sɛ bɔfoɔ a Nana Akomea ka nyinaa ne sɛ na Mahama mode ne bɛyi deɛ ɛdi kan obi a yɛareject no 2 times 2016 2020 mu sɛ de naba ɔba bɛyɛ den de ɛwɔ biom saa message a Felix ɛka na yɛbae na debt to GTP sɛ dɛbɛn GPT sɛ dɛbɛn GTP debt to GDP ratio akɔ inflation akɔ soro ɛdɛbɛ Ghana for the saa message wei ara na moka ya na still Nana do emu ni nti ɛde na mo sesa message na mo pɛ message foforɔ nti sɛ saa message wei na mo de ba de a ɛne sɛ Baumia nyame yɛ adom na sɛ yɛkɔto aba na sɛ otumi lead NPP a ɛne ne Baumia mu ni awie na mo sɛ Baumia na yɛ asɛm a wɔka kyerɛ nti yɛnkɔ tie the Felix kan ya ma Nana Akomea nso ɛka saa asɛm no.
They came to meet. And Randy, all the economic meltdown we are experiencing today stems from this debt. And Baumia created it. So if you are a Ghanaian voter and you are going to vote, and you say you want the man who can manage this economy, one was in power for about 8 years as vice and president, left a debt of 120 billion. And you said he was terrible, they should get rid of him. You take over and take the debt to 600 billion.
Take over.
You need a soothsayer to tell you that Baumia will be a joke compared to your mama. Randy, this is against a background of total revenue accruing to your mama as vice president and president, 248 billion Ghana cedis for 8 years. Randy, do you know how much Baumia has had access to in 7 years? 830 billion. If you put the taxes together, petroleum revenue, and all other sources of revenue, 830 billion. Almost 4 times what your mama had. Randy, at the time Mama was president, he had access to 1 oil field. Baumia has access to 3 oil fields. Randy, our debt to GDP ratio, which assesses our capacity to pay our debt. There's another one, which is revenue to debt servicing. Under your mama, it was 56%. It meant that if we added up our GDP and monetized it, and evaluated whether we can use it to pay off our debt, we will use only 56% of our GDP to pay off our debt, and there will be about 44% left for us to use on other things. Randy, under Baumia, it is 104%, meaning that if we used all our GDP to pay off our debts, we will still owe another 4%. So if you are a voter and you are going to vote, and you tell me that because Baumia comes from the north, you are going to vote for him, when you have seen clearly that he is a complete disaster, nobody will tell you where to vote. Randy, inflation. And I'm saying this because Baumia mentioned these things and promised to do better. When he was lamenting inflation in 2016, it was 15.4%. Randy, only a couple of months ago, inflation soared to 54.1%. The highest in about 40 years. Hyperinflation. So you went to the market in the morning, the price of this item was this. Within a few hours, it goes up because of hyperinflation, which has been brought upon us by Baumia's mismanagement of the economy. Randy, exchange rates. He said that if the fundamentals of the economy are weak, the exchange rates will expose you. Randy, people forget that right after that, he said something even more profound. He said the most important indicator for assessing the health of the economy is the exchange rate. Randy, at the time, your mama's exchange rate was 3.8 cedis. Only yesterday, I did a transaction in Lusu. Randy, I had to pay 13.5 cedis for $1.